How to talk to people in pairs. Lily always dreaded the moment her English class required pair work. A wave of anxiety would wash over her, making her tongue heavy and her mind blank. She imagined her partner judging every stutter, every mispronounced word. The simple act of saying hello felt like climbing Mount Everest, especially when she knew fluent speakers surrounded her. How to talk to people in pairs. The question haunted her nights. She observed others effortlessly chatting, their words flowing like a river. Her own attempts felt like a dammed trickle. This intense comparison became a heavy burden, hindering any genuine progress she might have made in her lessons. English story reading was often recommended, but even that felt daunting. The sheer volume of new vocabulary seemed insurmountable. She'd start a book, only to abandon it after a few pages, overwhelmed by the unknown terms. Her dictionary became both a friend and a terrifying symbol of her linguistic deficiencies. The first step for talking felt like an impossible leap into a vast, intimidating void. She'd rehearse sentences in her head, perfect and fluent, but once faced with a real person, her carefully constructed phrases would crumble. The pressure of performance was an unbearable weight upon her shoulders. Why I always make mistakes? This question echoed relentlessly in her mind. Every wrong tense, every misused preposition, felt like a spotlight on her inadequacy. She internalized these errors, believing they were proof of her inherent inability to master the language. It was a vicious, self-defeating cycle. She often wondered how to practice English. Should she just force herself to speak, or focus on grammar drills? The internet offered countless methods, but each seemed to contradict the other. This information overload only added to her confusion, making her feel even more lost in her learning journey. Remembering words was another colossal struggle. She'd dutifully write them down, repeating them aloud, only to forget them mere hours later. Flashcards piled up, yet her active vocabulary remained stubbornly stagnant. It felt like her brain actively resisted retaining any new English terms, a truly frustrating experience. The advice to talk in English just 1 page per day seemed utterly absurd. How could a single page make any difference when her entire language foundation felt so shaky? She dismissed it initially, thinking it was too simplistic a solution for her complex linguistic problems and deep-seated fears. How other people talk in English fascinated and intimidated her. Some spoke quickly, others with deliberate precision. She noticed their varied accents and idioms, feeling a pang of envy. They seemed so natural, so at ease, while she felt perpetually awkward and out of place in any English conversation. There were moments she even considered why you should not learn English. The effort felt disproportionate to the perceived reward. Maybe it wasn't for everyone. Perhaps she should just stick to her native tongue and forget this endless battle. The thought offered a fleeting, dangerous sense of relief. But then, a flicker of stubbornness ignited within her. Despite the self-doubt, a deeper part of her refused to surrender. She envisioned a future where she could communicate freely, understand jokes, and engage in meaningful conversations. This quiet determination became her nascent motivation, a tiny spark. She resolved to truly understand how to learn English. It wasn't about perfection, she slowly realized, but about consistent effort. She decided to research different approaches, open-minded for the first time. The journey ahead still seemed long, but now, at least, she had a compass guiding her way. Her first concrete step was embracing English story reading again, but with a new strategy. She chose simpler books, focusing on understanding the general plot rather than every single word. She allowed herself to skip unfamiliar vocabulary, prioritizing fluency over exhaustive analysis in her quiet reading time. She learned a valuable lesson about how to take first step for talking. It wasn't about grand speeches, but tiny utterances. Saying "good morning" to her reflection, answering simple questions aloud to herself, or even just describing her day in whispered English became her initial, brave attempts at oral practice. Recognizing "why I always make mistakes" became less about self-criticism and more about observation. She started noting patterns in her errors, realizing they weren't random but indicative of specific grammar points she needed to review. Mistakes transformed into signposts, guiding her towards clearer understanding. Regarding how to practice English, she discovered the power of immersion, even simulated. She started listening to English podcasts during her commute, trying to grasp the main ideas. She watched movies with English subtitles, gradually attempting to switch to English-only captions, a challenging but rewarding step. For how to remember words, she adopted a spaced repetition system. Instead of random memorization, she used apps that presented words at optimal intervals, reinforcing recall. She also started actively using new words in her internal monologues, trying to weave them into her daily thoughts and observations. Then, she truly committed to talk in English just one page per day. She picked a random page from an old English textbook or an article and simply read it aloud. This ritual, though seemingly small, built rhythm and confidence. It made speaking a regular, non-threatening activity in her daily routine. Observing how other people talk in English became a learning exercise, not a source of despair. She noticed their intonation, their pauses, their natural flow. She even tried to mimic phrases or sentence structures that sounded appealing, absorbing them into her own budding English repertoire and style. The thought, why you should not learn English, still occasionally surfaced, a whisper of doubt. But now, it was met with an immediate counter-argument. The world was opening up. New ideas, new connections, new possibilities. The initial frustration was being replaced by a sense of exciting discovery and progress. Her understanding of how to learn English broadened considerably. It wasn't just about textbooks, it was about living with the language. Incorporating it into her hobbies, her thoughts, her entertainment. She started viewing English as a tool for connection and exploration, not just a subject to be mastered. Her first breakthrough in how to talk to people in pairs came during a casual coffee break. A classmate asked her a simple question. Instead of panicking, Lily took a breath and responded, not perfectly, but intelligibly. The conversation continued for a surprising minute. A small victory, but momentous. She began to actively seek out opportunities for pair work, however brief. She understood that practice, even imperfect practice, was the only way forward. The initial terror slowly receded, replaced by a nervous excitement, a feeling of anticipation for what she might achieve next in her conversations. Her English story reading evolved. She moved from simple stories to short articles, then to more complex narratives. Each completed piece boosted her confidence, expanding her vocabulary naturally within context, which made new words much easier to remember and later recall with greater accuracy. The journey of how to take first step for talking had been painful, but now she recognized its necessity. Each awkward sentence, each hesitant word, was a brick laid in the foundation of her fluency. She no longer feared the beginning, she embraced it as an essential part of growth. She reflected on why I always make mistakes. It wasn't a personal failing, but a natural part of the learning curve. Mistakes indicated where she needed to focus her efforts, providing valuable feedback. She started celebrating them as proof of her active engagement with the challenging language. Her daily how to practice English routine diversified. She started shadowing native speakers from videos, trying to match their rhythm and pronunciation. She recorded herself speaking and listened back, cringing at first, but then objectively identifying areas for improvement in her own spoken delivery. How to remember words transformed into a game. She made up silly sentences using new vocabulary, or associated words with vivid mental images. She understood that memory was not passive absorption, but active creation, linking new information to existing knowledge in creative, memorable ways. The talk in English just one page per day habit became her anchor. It was a consistent, manageable commitment that kept her momentum going, even on days she felt unmotivated. It instilled discipline and proved that small, consistent actions accumulate into significant progress over time. She started joining online language exchange groups, practicing how to talk to people in pairs, with strangers from different countries. The anonymity reduced some of her initial fear, allowing her to experiment with new phrases and gain real-time conversational experience with diverse individuals. Observing how other people talk in English from these interactions gave her new insights. She learned about different regional accents and common colloquialisms. It broadened her understanding of the dynamic nature of language, moving beyond textbook examples into real-world communication scenarios. The old argument of why you should not learn English faded almost entirely. The benefits far outweighed the struggles. She was connecting with people globally, accessing vast amounts of information, and discovering new aspects of herself through the learning process, which was truly empowering. Her understanding of how to learn English deepened. It was not a linear path but a spiral, revisiting concepts at higher levels, building on previous knowledge. She embraced the cyclical nature of learning, understanding that mastery required constant refinement and revisiting of foundational skills. Her confidence in how to talk to people in pairs soared. She no longer dreaded group activities. In fact, she started enjoying them. The back and forth of conversation, the nuances of shared meaning, became a source of genuine pleasure and intellectual stimulation, a far cry from her initial anxiety. She found herself recommending English story reading to others, emphasizing its benefits for vocabulary acquisition and natural sentence structure. She shared her strategy of focusing on overall comprehension, liberating herself from the pressure of understanding every single unfamiliar word. The transformation in how to take first step for talking was remarkable. From whispering to herself, she was now initiating conversations, asking questions, and expressing opinions with increasing ease and fluidity. The initial barrier had completely dissolved, replaced by a confident willingness to engage. Why I always make mistakes. No longer a question of despair, but one of analytical curiosity. She had developed a growth mindset, viewing each error as a chance to refine her understanding and improve her linguistic precision. Mistakes became valuable data points, guiding her path to fluency. Her How to Practice English repertoire expanded to include journaling in English, describing her thoughts and feelings, and even trying to write short stories. This diversified her practice, engaging different linguistic skills and fostering a more holistic approach to language acquisition. The techniques for how to remember words became second nature. She instinctively sought context, creating mental bridges between new and familiar concepts. Words weren't isolated items but interconnected pieces of a larger linguistic puzzle, making recall much more organic and efficient over time. Talk in English just 1 page per day evolved into daily conversations, email exchanges, and even short presentations. The initial small step had blossomed into a full-fledged habit, demonstrating the power of consistency and gradual progression in her personal language development journey. She started mentoring others, sharing her insights on how other people talk in English and encouraging them to observe and learn without comparison. She taught them to appreciate the diversity of accents and communication styles, fostering a more inclusive and less intimidating learning environment. The very idea of why you should not learn English became ludicrous. English had become a gateway, connecting her to cultures, ideas, and opportunities she never imagined possible. It was not just a language, it was a key unlocking a vast, interconnected world, enriching her life immensely. Her comprehensive approach to how to learn English proved successful. She combined reading, speaking, listening, and writing, creating a balanced and effective learning ecosystem. It was a testament to patience, persistence, and a willingness to adapt her strategies over time for optimal results. Now, when faced with how to talk to people in pairs, Lily felt a surge of excitement. She looked forward to the interaction, the exchange of ideas, and the chance to use her ever-improving language skills in a practical, engaging context. Fear had been replaced by genuine enthusiasm. She realized that her English story reading had not only built vocabulary but also ingrained natural sentence structures and common idioms, contributing significantly to her conversational fluency. The stories became a silent teacher, guiding her towards more idiomatic and natural expression. The memory of how to take first step for talking brought a nostalgic smile. The initial terror seemed so distant now, replaced by a deep appreciation for those early, hesitant attempts that set her on this transformative path towards confident verbal communication in a new language. She no longer asked, "Why I always make mistakes?" Instead, she asked, "What can I learn from this mistake?" This shift in perspective was perhaps the most crucial lesson of all, turning perceived failures into stepping stones on her continuous journey of linguistic improvement and growth. Her How to Practice English journey became a joyful exploration, not a chore. She discovered new podcasts, engaged in debates, and even started writing short blog posts in English. Practice was no longer confined to textbooks but integrated seamlessly into her daily life and personal interests. How to remember words was no longer a struggle, but an automatic process. Her brain had developed pathways, connecting new vocabulary to existing knowledge, making recall efficient and natural. Words flowed freely, readily available for expression in spontaneous conversation and writing. The principle of talk in English just one page per day had evolved into speaking English for hours without even realizing it. The consistent, small effort had compounded into a profound ability to communicate, demonstrating the power of sustained, manageable daily commitment in her learning. She recognized how other people talk in English as diverse and beautiful, no longer comparing herself to them, but drawing inspiration. Each voice offered a unique perspective, a different shade of fluency, celebrating the rich tapestry of global English speakers, fostering respect and appreciation. The initial, fleeting thought of why you should not learn English was a distant memory, a stark contrast to her current reality. Learning English had opened doors, broadened her horizons, and enriched her life in countless unforeseen ways, proving its invaluable worth. Ultimately, How to Learn English was a deeply personal journey of self-discovery and perseverance. It taught her resilience, patience, and the profound satisfaction of achieving a challenging goal. Her fluency wasn't just about words, it was about newfound confidence and a world of connections. She now effortlessly engaged in how to talk to people in pairs, her words flowing freely, her confidence radiating. The once terrifying prospect had become a natural, enjoyable part of her daily interactions. Her initial fears were replaced by genuine curiosity and connection. Her daily English story reading continues, a cherished habit that continually refines her vocabulary and understanding of nuances. It's no longer a struggle, but a delightful journey through narratives, enhancing her comprehension and linguistic sophistication with every new tale. The journey from the very first, hesitant, how to take first step for talking, to her current fluency was a testament to her unwavering dedication. She proved that even the biggest mountains can be climbed, one small, consistent step at a time, overcoming fear with courage. She had transformed the question, why I always make mistakes, into, how can I learn faster from my mistakes? This powerful mindset shift accelerated her learning significantly, turning every error into a valuable data point for continuous improvement and deeper understanding. Her continued dedication to how to practice English is a testament to lifelong learning. She understood that language acquisition is an ongoing process, a continuous refinement of skills, always seeking new challenges and opportunities for growth in her linguistic journey. How to remember words is now almost intuitive, as she constantly integrates new vocabulary into active use. The connection between knowing a word and being able to use it spontaneously became seamless, a natural part of her evolving linguistic mastery and expression. She often thought about talk in English just one page per day, and its foundational role. That seemingly small commitment had been the seed from which her current proficiency blossomed, illustrating the immense power of consistent, incremental progress over time in language learning. Witnessing how other people talk in English no longer intimidated her, it inspired her. She appreciated the diversity of accents and communication styles, understanding that fluency encompassed a wide spectrum of expression, freeing her from rigid expectations of perfection. Lily's story embodies the true spirit of How to Learn English. It's about facing fears, embracing imperfections, and committing to consistent, manageable steps. Her transformation from a hesitant learner to a confident speaker is an inspiring testament to the power of perseverance and smart practice.